Hello. Here we go. This is number 2. I listened to Gangaji last night, and I'm very grateful that we all over the planet can stay connected by technology. Isn't that fantastic? And so I was asked to do number 2. And number 2 picks up questions I got in letters and by telephone calls. Please don't call me personally because I cannot handle it. It's just too much. You're very welcome to write to me, but I pick up the questions that are the most asked. One is, what do I do on a practical level? Well, don't reject reality. It doesn't matter if the virus is, as many of these terrible imaginations is created by a human being, if it is spread out on purpose to get hold of the world government and ruin the rest of us, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter, because the reality is the virus is present and the virus has consequences. And the consequences are all that we are being told to do or not to do. Here in Berlin right now it is that we are not allowed to gather with more than one other person and the family, of course, when you live with them in the same building or in the same house. Well, I was out to get some food and I was confronted with my own very triggery ego that immediately got angry when people walked at me like this, and I could just stop. And very grateful for having practiced being vigilant for many decades now. I simply stepped back, but the impulse was yell at them and get angry at them and say, oh, you are not careful and I'm sick and oh, you make me die. No, it takes awareness on our side. Of course, I receive letters between being very afraid, but most of the letters are fighting with the reality of the virus as such. There's a very good saying by Baron Katie, and she says, you can fight reality, you only will lose 100%, which is evidently true. Just a minute, I have to put this handy aside, the mobile. Well, the last conference here, which couldn't take place, was called How to Live an Awakened Life. Well, and the awakened life considers, when it's the more awake it is, and the more vigilant it is, it considers all levels. The personal level, which has to do with the body. You take care, you wash your hands. If you still got hold of some antiseptic, you use it. You use rubber gloves. Even if you feel silly doing that, which lots of people do, I feel silly when I wear gloves, and I feel silly when I cough like this or sneeze like this. Well, do it, no matter if you feel silly or not. Just the more humor you get. Just in the shop where I bought the bread, there was an old lady, and she kept the distance. But then she noticed she had forgotten the sugar. And the impulse to get the sugar was much stronger than what her brain had told her. And I just said, well, when it comes to sugar, and she started laughing. But I had decided, and I have decided several times a day, I will meet all this junk with humor, It's one of the things the egos don't like, but it's a very, very easy thing to get around. And let me see, what else did the letters ask? Well, the fear. Well, go deeper. The fear is always of dying. The fear is always, I die, and you have never confronted yourself that you will die. I have a very dear friend, and we always talk, and usually in the middle of our talks we burst out laughing and say, he's 75, I'm almost 80, and so we always say, well, hello, of something we have to die. And this virus now confronts everybody, no matter how old you are, how young you are, how stubborn you are, how willing you are, but the fact that we are all going to die. Some sooner, some later. And it's not up to us to say that, okay? Once you get used to that, and be happy. With all this stuff, the ego dies as well. Ha, 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 ha. Isn't that a wonderful message? Happy hour. Okay, this was the practical part for today. And don't forget, go inside. If you are not very stable in that, sit down for, the minute you get afraid, just sit down for a second. Keep breathing and meditate for a minute until you feel the calm again, until you feel what you have realized, that there's something much bigger than your fear. There's something much bigger than your anger. There's something much bigger than your shame. And that is love, love, love. And once you touched it in the bottom line and really experience it, you are sure the main thing is love. It's everywhere, all the time, and you can always practice love. Okay? This was part 2, the practical part. See you. Bye-bye. Bye now.